Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books, and today it's the Friday show. We're going to be going through what I have been reading this week, what I'm going to be reading next week, and then the videos we've made this week, the videos that are coming out next week, and then just kind of anything else wrapped up at the very end. So let's get started with what I have been reading. I've been reading Crossroads of Twilight by Robert Jordan. This is the 10th book in the Wheel of Time. This is also fairly universally the most disliked. It is the one that most people say is the sloggiest book. Many videos that I have seen have said you don't need to read this book, you could just watch a video recap that is like 10 minutes long and get everything you need from this book. And I kind of understand that feeling. I think the structure of the way that Jordan writes these books and the choices that he has made in terms of which characters to focus on and in which order are a big negative against this book. So you start out with some of your favourite characters, so like some of the most liked. So I think we start out with, after the prologue, which is 12% of the book. That's too long, Robert. The first chapters you get to are by Matt. With Matt as the POV. And Matt is most people's favourite character. He has the most stuff to do right now. He's kind of on the move. He's making moves. He's got some serious stuff going on. So we start with Matt. And that's really good. So that's a great start to this book. But then we go straight into... and this is unfortunate, but we go straight into Perrin, who is the main character that I currently care the least about. So many people, Perrin is their favourite character. And I could have maybe have been in that camp in like the Shadow Rising era. But I feel like since the Shadow Rising, Perrin has done very little. He has had some really interesting story stuff with him and Masima, but I feel like 90% of Perrin's problems could be resolved by teleporting Rand in for 5 minutes, and that's not currently happening, and that feels kind of annoying. If you look at like the problems that Matt has in the books right now, the things that he's doing, that he's trying to solve, couldn't really be solved by the fact that your best friend can instantaneously travel around the world and so could come and help you. So Matt's stuff is really good and it's really well kind of like structured and judged, but Perrin's stuff, it literally like all of his problems could be solved by Rand turning up for 5 minutes and being like, here's the deal, here's what I want everyone to do, and that would just solve all the problems, which is kind of frustrating me right now. I've finished Perrin's chapters. I'm 40% of the way through the book right now. So I finished Perrin's chapters, and I enjoyed the Fael chapter. I thought that was really good. And then we moved on to Elaine's chapters, and I feel like... so I've read like 3 Elaine chapters in a row, and I'm still not done with her chapters. And Elaine, I mean, we've talked in the spoiler discussions how Elaine is one of my favourite characters in the series. It's probably my favourite female character. And she is written so annoyingly in this book. And the chapters that she's in are really annoying. Like, I feel like she spent an entire chapter either in the bath or talking about having been in the bath. And this isn't like a short chapter, this is like a 40-minute audiobook chapter. Since starting I think from Fael's chapters onwards, I fully switched to the audiobook for this one. So I've moved my bookmark on in case I want to pick up the physical again, because I do love reading physical books. Oh, Barry's here, by the way. Hey, Barry. Barry's had his flea treatment, so I can't stroke him in the same way, because if you stroke the flea treatment stuff, you have to wash your hands. So he's going to be very annoyed with me because I'm not going to be stroking him throughout this video. So yeah, I moved on to the audiobook. I've been playing a puzzle game on my gaming handheld while I like handheld PC thing. It's like a Steam Deck, but it's not. I've been playing a Picross puzzle game while listening to the audiobook, and because the puzzle game is like, it's not like word puzzle, it's like numbers and stuff. So because it's not a word puzzle game and I don't have to do any reading at all, I've been able to really pay attention to the audiobook, and I've been enjoying the audiobook with that kind of like added distraction to help me keep focused on it. I'm sure I would also enjoy it if like I went for a walk or something. But yeah, currently, this book it is definitely the weakest book in the series. And I've been talking to Matt a lot about it as we read through it, and he's been saying that the structure and the way that you sometimes, what Jordan tends to do is, instead of what you see people like, so Brandon Sanderson, for example, he doesn't tend to have 2 chapters with the same POV in a row. He'll be like, this is a Kaladin chapter, this is a Shallan chapter, this is an Adolin chapter. Whereas Jordan will be like, here is a block of characters, a block of character. He'll be like, right, the next 4 chapters are about Elaine getting in and out of the bath. Or the next 3 chapters are about, I don't know, like Matt going for a walk around the docks. You know, like, so because you get them in blocks, and unfortunately because he's managed to block together the character I like the least and then the character I like the most, who is having the most boring things happen to them, it's been a bit more of a struggle than normal. I try to read like 100 pages a day when I'm reading a book, and I think I managed 100 pages yesterday. Let's check. How many did I read? Okay, I read all the Elaine chapters in one go yesterday. So I read from 251 to 304. So actually not 100 pages. I read 50 pages, which is about half of the goal of what I want to read. So yeah, I'll have to catch up a bit over the weekend. But yeah, so I'll probably be mostly audiobooking this one, simply because I think that it's just easier on, like, I sometimes feel like when I read a book that I'm not loving, I struggle to want to pick it up, whereas if I'm combining it with a game that I'm enjoying, I think it'll all work, really. Anyway, let's move on to what I'm going to be reading after this. So hopefully I will finish this by early to middle of next week. And then I want to move on. So my original plan was that I was going to move on to this arc that I've received from Andrew Watson for The Black Mantle, which is the second book in his Shadowbinders series. But I'm looking at... So this is quite a chunky book, you know. This is like the same size... Is it bigger? I think it's big. No, it's the same size as Crossroads of Twilight. So what I've been trying to do is read books that I can read that are a bit shorter and that are really quick, to give me some space to take longer than a week to read big books. So that's why I read the Reckoner's book Steelheart, and I think that I might also need that space for The Black Mantle. So my thought was that I'm going to not read this directly after Crossroads of Twilight. Also, that will stop me from having fantasy, and getting a bit of burnout on fantasy. So I'm going to read the second Reckoner's book. I'm going to read Firelight by Brandon Sanderson. Sanderson books I read incredibly quickly. Don't know why, just read them incredibly quickly. Like, we're talking... Like, I read Tress of the Emerald Sea, which is like a 500-page book or whatever. I read that in like a day and a half. I can read, even with, you know, small font, small margins, I can read like 300 pages of Sanderson a day, whereas I struggle to get 100 from most other authors. Absolutely no idea why. Always worked well for me. But yeah, so I'll then be moving on to The Black Mantle. So I am excited to read Firelight. I think Firefight, whatever it's called. I'm excited to read the next Reckoner's book because the first Reckoner's book ended in a really interesting place. And I have already read the Mitosis novella. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record a short for the review of that. and I'm going to tack that short on to the end of the or the beginning maybe of the Firelight review. So if you don't watch shorts, you won't miss it. If you do watch shorts, it'll be up earlier. Don't know when I'm going to record that. Soon. So yeah, really looking forward to reading the Black Mantle. I've even got my special Black Mantle bookmark sent from Andrew. It's already in chapter 1, ready to go. So yeah, really excited about reading that one. And yeah, it's a really good month of reading so far. I've read Steelheart, which I loved. Crossroads of Twilight has been difficult. Still a lot of it I'm really liking. I love Jordan's prose, I love the characters, but I feel like what they're doing is not very interesting this time around, which is weird for the Wheel of Time because that's never really happened. Like the only sections of the Wheel of Time that I was not that hype about previously were the bits with Vale and Luca's menagerie. I thought they were less interesting. But yeah, I think we're doing quite well in terms of starting off the year, starting off January. The New Spring. Matt and I actually haven't talked about when we're going to read and when we're going to discuss New Spring yet. The plan was always to read these books in publication order, so to read New Spring after Crossroads of Twilight. May end up that I try and read New Spring as the first book after the Black Mantle, or I might read the third Reckoner's book and then New Spring. And then I will see how I feel about reading Knife of Dreams in February as well. It could end up that I read both in February. So let's move on to videos. So this week I put out my First Law review. So the Blade itself, I read that earlier this month, really enjoyed it. I think that I don't have the most popular take on the First Law. I think most people will think that they're all 5 out of 5s, but I gave the Blade itself 4 out of 5, and I had a few complaints with it that were resolved by the end of the book. So going into book 2, I believe I'm in a really fantastic place for what I'm going to think about that series. But for a decent chunk of book 1, I had a bit of an issue with the book. I won't spoil that. I think you should go and watch that review because A, I worked hard on it, and B, maybe even read the book first for yourself and then watch the review and see how you feel. And then after that, yesterday, I put out, not yesterday because it's Friday, on Wednesday, I released my top 10 fantasy series of all time video. So we went through all 10 of my favourite series. I discussed what I loved about them, why they were in that specific position, and a lot of people have really enjoyed that video and have really vibed with it. The one thing that I would also like to say is if you are interested in a bit more background and a bit more information around what didn't make the list, why it didn't make the list, other series that I love, I actually recorded, as with my top 10 of 2024, I recorded the entire process of me building that list. So I went through every single fantasy series that I have read, and I did pre-cut a few where I literally only read one book, and then there were a few that I wasn't in love with, so I cut those. But when we came to, I came to that with like 17 or 18 series, maybe more than that. Anyway, came to the list making process with quite a lot of series, and then whittled that down to my top 10. It was actually genuinely, there was a real like 3-way tie for number 10, and you will be shocked at the traditionally published series that did not make the list at number 10. I do hope that you watch that video, and I hope that you enjoy. So that'll be out next Wednesday. And I know that I talked last week about how I was going to do a video on reading speed. The problem with my video on reading speed is that I am reading Crossroads of Twilight very slowly because it's not 100% holding my interest in the same way that other Wheel of Time books are. So I may end up restarting the reading speed video with another book. I honestly don't know. If I'm gonna film the next parts of that reading speed video, I should probably do it today, but like this evening after work. But I actually don't know if I have time to do that. And by the time I have more time to film another reading speed part of the reading speed video, I will probably have finished Crossroads of Twilight. So yeah, tough decision to make on that one. Do I scrap the 5 minutes of filming I've already done, plus 30 minutes of reading time on camera, which I'm going to speed up, but you know. So do I scrap that or do I keep it? I really don't know. So yeah, odd situation. I started the reading speed video with Wheel of Time because I was like, this would be a really good book to measure my reading speed with, and then it's been one that I've been reading slower because I'm not enjoying it as much. So yeah, next week will be the building the list video for my top 10 fantasy series of all time. And the Steelheart review, which is already recorded and uploaded, so it's scheduled for Monday. The following Monday will be the Crossroads of Twilight review. And you'll see that because that following Monday is Crossroads of Twilight review, I then only have another week to finish The Black Mantle if I read that straight away, which is why I'm going to be inserting that Reckoner's book, just to get a quick read out of the way. So that's kind of the way that I'm going to be trying to structure Q1 of this year, is reading a lot of books that I can read quickly. So like maybe picking series that are like shorter books, like the Debt Collection, or Sanderson books that I can read really quickly, or maybe rereads as well. I've been really thinking about rereading Ryan Carhill's Bound and the Broken. I think I've kind of run out of time on it though, if I wanted to do that. I mean, to line up with the new book releasing. And I do have a couple of books that lean more into YA, so those books may be ones that I choose to read early in Q1. Anyway, the goal is to have a month of headway, which is between 4 and 5 reviews, so that if a book takes me 2 weeks to read, because it's really dense or it's really long, then I've got that buffer of like a month. And then when I lose a week, because I take a 2-week review, the idea will be then to try and find another short book that I can read like 2 of in a week. Does that all make sense to you guys? I hope it makes sense. Having 2 Reckoner's books left to read, maybe a third as well. I think there's an audio only one as well. So if I have like 3 Reckoner's books, I could probably read all 3 of those in a single week, which will give me a massive buffer. So that is the hope, that I will do some buffer books early in the year, which will let me not be stressed when a book I'm reading is taking me like, you know, however many weeks to read. Because there are a few books last year that, like for example, the First Binding, and I think a lot of the reason why I DNF'd that, it wasn't connecting with me, but also I think it was the stress of having been reading it for 2 weeks and not gotten anywhere. So yeah, long story short, hopefully that will make sense. Now, we've done videos, we've done books, but I want to go back to books a little bit. So let me have a quick sip and put this cup down. You'll have seen in the thumbnail that I have something to unbox. Now, this arrived a couple of days ago, and I've had to sit and look at it the entire week. I was actually hoping to have 2 boxes to unbox, but my broken binding delivery for the day is late. I'm going to start trying to hold on to special edition books that I receive until I can unbox them on video for you guys on these Friday videos, because I feel like, especially with an indie book, because this is a delivery from L. McInerney. Sorry, Al. Elle McInerney, the author of the Unraveling series, which, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of. She has sent me this lovely package. So what I wanted to do is showcase this so that if you're interested in these books, you know that the product that you're going to receive is really cool. So, I mean, number one, look how well that's packaged. Like, that's awesome, right? So we're going to go step by step, layer by layer. So the first thing is a Soul Stealer bookmark, which is pretty cool. It's got a quote and the like magic stave thing that people use to cast magic in that world. So it's very nice thick cardstock as well. Very similar to the bookmark that Andrew sent in the Black Mantle. And then we have another thing here, which is, and that's pretty cool, right? Wax sealed letter. I'm not going to break the seal because, luckily for me, Ella's popped it on the back. And inside we have a lovely note. So, to Sam, thank you for all your support. I've included the Jeff Brown artwork of The Reckoning that I commissioned for Overlord. Elle. So, nice little paper stock as well on the little note. So, I do have the artwork separately, so I'll open that up in a moment. But what I'm going to be opening first is this gorgeous package. Look at, genuinely, look how cool that wrapping is. It's like a tuxedo. Let's get this unwrapped. And you can, if you find Elle on social media, you can find links to buy her books. Again, I have only read one of the two, but I absolutely loved the one that I read, Soul Stealer. So I genuinely huge recommendation for that series. It was one of my top 10 books of 2024. And I'm genuinely incredibly excited to read the second book. So first off, what we've got in this package is a beautiful edition of Soul Stealer, book 1 in the Unraveling. It has a really nice cover, which is like silver foil, and same with the spine and the back of the book. It's a lovely printing, and we've got a cool, very minimal leather cover here, Soul Stealer by Elle McInerney. And then inside, in fact, we have, I've got a note here from Elle. To Sam, this is currently the only edition like this in existence, and I wanted to share it with you to thank you for all you've done to support Soul Stealer so far. I hope it adds more spark to your shelf. That is insane. That is incredible. This is a unique one-of-one version of Soul Stealer. So I do apologise that you cannot buy this exact edition. However, I would imagine that there is a lovely version that you can buy. The version that I've seen online and that she showed me in when we did our interview had like the full deer skull on the front rather than the like silver foil that I've got. So I apologise you can't buy this one, but I'm very excited to have it. And I love, it's just a fantastic edition. It's got a lovely little map in here. So yes, this will add some spark to my shelf, and I am genuinely very, very, surprised, grateful. I mean, she did tell me she was sending me the book, but I'm genuinely, I've received a couple of packages since joining BookTube that have been genuinely incredible. I got the book that Mare and Ross and Laura got for me, the Ryan Carhill signed book. But this one means a lot too because it's directly from the author. And then we have here another signature for Overlord, which is the prequel novel. This is again a really nice edition. So if you look here, we've got full color front, and the side has this lovely crystal design. This book is about a character called Gideon, who is a mage or wizard or whatever, who is at the wizard university in the world of the Unraveling, and it's all about the politics and the like infighting and manipulation that's going on in that wizard's tower. So really excited to read this one. And we've got matching Overlord by Elle McInerney, naked cover stuff, and I think actually this one was leather, I think, or like leather effect, like it's shiny, whereas the Overlord one is a matte cloth bound cover. So yeah, I mean, obviously I do apologise that you can't get this edition. I'm extremely happy to have it. And I think that maybe having this nice edition will possibly prompt me to reread this book ready in time for book 2 when that releases. So yeah, I've also got in this package an Overlord bookmark. All of these books are available on Kindle Unlimited. So I actually read all of them digitally when I read, so I say all of them, I've only read 1 out of 2. I read Soul Stealer digitally, and great experience, just as, you know, reading any book digitally, so almost as good as physical. Yeah, really good experience, and really like this book. And as I was saying, you can pick these up on Kindle. They're on Kindle Unlimited. You can pick them up on Kindle, or Elle is actually selling them directly herself, and they're available on her website. Is there a URL here? I bet you there's a URL here somewhere. There's no URL on the dust jacket. I do apologise. I'll try and remember to pop a link in the description. If I forget, somebody will remind me and I'll pop it in the comments. You can also buy them from Elle on TikTok Shop, which is really cool. I don't know any other authors who are using TikTok Shop. So yeah, I've probably spent way too long unboxing those. However, you guys know I'm hyped for this series. And here we have artwork inside Open With Care. So, oh, it's in a red envelope inside an envelope. So, as part of her Kickstarter, Elle commissioned Jeff Brown, who is one of my favourite fantasy artists, to do some artwork for the Unraveling. And let's have a look at the piece that she commissioned. I've on purpose not looked at this online. So here we go. Oh, this is so cool. Look at this. Like, that is really, really nice. I hope that this is in frame because I can't see. I'm waiting until the preview catches up. Yeah, this is a really, really nice piece. So you've got the like staff thing. Possibly this will be Gideon. I'll find out when I read Overlord, I guess. And this cool crystal, which looks a bit familiar. Yeah, that's amazing. So, I mean, number one, try this series out, especially if you've got Kindle Unlimited. Literally nothing to lose. And thank you, Elle, again, for sending this through. I do hope that I can bring more people to your genuinely amazing fantasy books. And I am really excited about Overlord. We'll be hoping to read this in Q1 as well. I hadn't gotten around to editing today's video yet, so you guys get a bonus unboxing from the Broken Binding. I know what this is from memory. Here's an interesting question. How do I take this tape off when, before filming this video, I forgot to get any kind of tool to do so? I know. This is a book holder opener thing that my brother-in-law got me for Christmas. It's not very useful for the reading, but the edge is sharp enough that I can use it to open some tape. Right, as we have here the very well packed Broken Binding. So they have the old cardboard paper stuff. And there's a lot of this. And then inside we have bubble wrap. And then it's wrapped like this. It's got a lovely gold paper with this black ribbon. And what book might this be? Let's get this open. I didn't want to wait another week to unbox this on next week's Friday show. So, oh, look at that. It's got a like plastic cover thing already on. That must be because this is one of Broken Binding Press's super special indie editions. So this is the same sort of series that you see from Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Carhill, those books that are now completely impossible to get for a reasonable value. So we've got Dayraven and Imhar on the front here, and like I was saying, yeah, the dust jacket comes in a protector, which is pretty cool. And we've got the full colour map of Edan on the front end paper, and we have, okay, what else do we have? So yeah, we've got this signature from Philip. This is, I've got number 418 of 1500, so it's very limited edition. It's got a lovely gold, or is it gilded? Is it gilded? Gilded? Is that what they say? Gilded when it's that? Gilded sprayed edges. We've got some lovely cloth bound cover, which has printed the raven on the front in the sunburst, and on the back a quote. So the quote says, "The old tales take us to faraway times and places, but they're also where we come from. They tell us how we got here." So yeah, obviously I'm a huge fan of this book. As you guys know, this was in my top 10 series of all time. And we've got, it's just an excellent book. Got some nice chapter artwork here that I don't remember being in the original edition. Ooh, yeah. Lots of cool chapter art. And then we also have a ribbon. So I didn't mention that earlier, but we've got a golden ribbon. And we have some art pages, full colour art pages, which look amazing. I'll look up the artist in a second because it does say who they are. And we've got another art page here. This one. It's Dayraven meeting the elf, I think, in the woods. And yeah, so art is by, here we go, cover art by Rennie Eigner. And the interior art is by Rennie Eigner. And then there's some black and white interior art by Peng Lu, which I haven't found yet. So I did say, oh my God, there's so much artwork in this. Yeah, so like that. I've seen the troll thing, the swamp troll thing. Is that another piece of colour art that I missed the first time? Yep, another piece of colour art. And then you can see all of this stuff on like the Broken Bindings Instagram, on Philip's Instagram, Bledler there, I believe. And yeah, it's really nice. The thing that's nice as well is the like paper quality is really nice. The binding is great. Another piece of colour artwork. There's a lot of colour artwork in here. I can see why these editions go for so much more than the traditional Broken Binding editions. I was a bit loath to spend the money originally, and then thought to myself, like, I love the series. I know I'm going to reread it. That was one of the big things for me, is that when I collect special editions of books, one of my reasonings for doing so is going, I want a really nice edition so that when I reread it in future, I'll have like the best experience. And yeah, here we are. Maybe one day I will get Philip to sign this one in person for me. That would be very exciting. And all the others, because they said that if this one sells out, they will do the next two books. So I really do hope they do, because I would like to have the full trilogy. But yeah, this is an absolute gorgeous edition, and like I really like that it comes with this protective jacket. I need to buy these jackets for the rest of my books. I have not done that yet. So yeah, back to the regular video. But I think I'm going to just put this in like right at the end. So after this, it's going to be subscriber stuff. that's probably everything. I think I've spent way too long on this video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. If you liked the video, give it a like. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you're reading this week. And if you have a booktube channel and you are doing, weekly updates and stuff like that, drop a link to yours down below. I'd love to catch up with more booktubers. I really want to, I watch my old favourites, do you know what I mean? But I would love to see your videos, your reviews, and maybe we can collaborate and do videos together in the future. And the only way I'm going to find out about your channel is if you tell me about it. So don't be afraid, please let me know about your channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Now's the time to join the community. We're reading some amazing books this year. We're finishing Wheel of Time. We're starting Malazan, Book of the Fallen. We are reading tons of other books by other authors. We're going to be reading First Law. Might even go into a little bit of the Realm of the Elderlings. And of course, we'll be reading as many indie SFF books as I can get my hands on as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will speak to you on Monday.